Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And speaking of a lot of light, if you've been looking on our website, starborninstitute.org, or our Karen Campbell YouTube channel, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is Future Plans, and that is because tomorrow we are having a wonderful new moon at 4 degrees of Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the future. It's a fixed air sign, and all the air signs are very conceptual, and you know, they have a million good ideas, so you might be coming up with some new ideas as well, because and they would revolve around what Aquarius rules. So Aquarius rules anything going through the air. It rules aviation. It rules space exploration. It rules the whole internet and computers and the whole telecommunications industry and social media. And it also rules electronics, any kind of electronics. And it rules things that are ahead of their time. And that is because Aquarius rules invention. And because it's a fixed sign, inventors have really good ideas, but they're not sure they'll work, so they need to take a lot of time in tinkering with things before the next new idea sort of hits them. And that's great because America's moon in their chart is in the sign of Aquarius, and Americans are very good at inventing things just out of nothing practically. And because the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, and Uranus is the planet of sudden surprising change and volatility, that means that your future plans, no matter how carefully you work on them, could be subject to sudden surprising change as well. And you almost need to have not only a plan A, but also a plan B or plan C. If things change or you run into a few bumps in the road this year, you'll at least have some good backup ideas, which would be great. And you could have a lot of ideas right now because your future plans could be going in a lot of different directions. And that is because the sun, the new moon, and Mercury, the planet of the mind and of thought, are all in Aquarius as of tomorrow's new moon. And they are being beautifully surrounded by a lot of planets on both sides of them. So for instance, right in front of the sign of Aquarius is the sign of Pisces, and that's where Venus is conjuncting Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune is the ruler of the sign. It's very strong there, and Neptune and Pisces rules dreams. So there is the possibility that your future plans could involve following a dream of yours, maybe a dream you've had for a long time. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, because after all, Aquarius does rule the future, so why not give it a try? It also means, since Pisces is a water sign, that you may want to heal a rift in a relationship. That would be great because Venus is in that sign as well. Or you may want to go and complete some unfinished business that had sort of been hanging around in your life, and maybe this is a good time to sort of wind something up in one way or another, which you could certainly do. Or there are planets that are right behind the sign of Aquarius, and they're very strong. And that's because Mars is in Sagittarius, sextiling the planets in Aquarius, and then Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto are in Capricorn, right behind the sign of Aquarius. And so that means that the direction your future plans could go in might involve getting a better education so that you could get a better job, or you could increase your career in one way or another. Or it could just be that you'd want to gain extra skills to ensure a secure future down the road. Maybe you're thinking about your retirement plans or your investment plans, and you'd like to make sure that those are in good shape. And there's also the possibility that you may want to have a future plan that involves doing the right thing, or really doing something that upholds time-honored tradition and values. You could be making that choice as well in your future plans. So all of those different directions are possible right now under tomorrow's new moon in Aquarius. However, the inevitable question is going to arise sooner or later, and that question is, how much will everything cost? And the reason why you really need to pay attention to that question is because Uranus, which is the ruler of Aquarius, is in Taurus, a fixed financial sign, and it is squaring the Sun, the new moon, and Mercury in Aquarius tomorrow. And so you do need to consider the cost of any future plan. And there are two kinds of costs that you might want to consider. The first is a financial cost. In other words, who's going to pay for your future plans? Or do you need a partner or a good investor to help you out? Or what is going to be the budget for your future plan? Have you accounted for all of the things that you will need in your budget? And then the bottom line is simply, well, what can you afford? Maybe you'll have to break down your future plan into segments if you could only afford to pay for one segment at a time. That's fine, you'd still be going forward. The second type of cost that you need to consider is a sacrificial cost. And that is because, nobody has a handle on time. It's just 24 hours in a day, and that's all any one of us has. And so you may need to ask yourself, how much time is your future plan going to take? Because then that will lead to a question about, what kind of activities are you willing to forego? Or what kind of relationships are you sort of willing to put on the back burner while you devote yourself to a future plan? Well, you'll have to consider that because, you can go forward. It just depends on what priority you're putting on your future. And, the future won't wait. You really do have to take advantage of this wonderful new moon and at least think about making future plans right now, because they could be very well aspected for you. And so even if you have to make a sacrifice of time by cutting out some activities or even some relationships or even organizations that you belong to in order to achieve your future plan, that can be fine. I mean, there's a cost to everything. And it's not just financial, it's how you spend your time or how you value your relationships. And so you need to consider that, because it reminds me of an old saying, although much is lost, much is gained. And so you just have to weigh how much you want to put aside in order to gain something in your future. But we all have to consider that. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, you can be prompted in your future plans by somebody who's egging you on right now. And that is because Mars is in Sagittarius. It is sextiling the new moon in Aquarius, and the sign of Aquarius is sextiling your sign, and Mars is trining your sign. So it can be that you can be encouraged now or even pushed into something by somebody else who has an agenda of their own and is thinking that, you're the one that can help them reach their future plans. Well, why don't you think about that a little bit, Aries, because it's your future plans you should be thinking about, not somebody else's. Because Uranus is in Taurus right ahead of your sun sign. There could be some sudden opportunities coming up for you to be adaptable and change your future plans according to what finances are available, or it can be that some costs can fluctuate. They can go up and down, and perhaps if the cost goes way down on something, you might change your future plans and really go for something because it could be affordable. So you need to consider that instead, Aries. So try to think for yourself right now, because this new moon in Aquarius does sextile your sun, and that means that you really should be making future plans. And this is an excellent time for you to do that. So don't stay stuck in a rut. Just think about a better future, because you can get one. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time when you can have a lot of good solid backup. In fact, for the whole year, you're going to have that, because for almost all of the year, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto will be in Capricorn, trining Uranus in your own sign. And Uranus is now direct, and so are all the other planets. So things are going to move forward right now. The problem is, Taurus, that the Sun, New Moon, and Mercury in Aquarius are squaring that Uranus in your sign. And so you really need to go over your budget real carefully, and you can be torn between what you want to do in the future or some sudden opportunity that comes up that maybe sounds very promising, and what your long-term goals are, because that new moon is squaring your sun, which means there could be a sudden draw on your finances. In other words, for instance, tax season is coming up. Maybe the taxes will be higher right now. So you need to really carefully consider what your current costs are or your upcoming costs are before you can make your future plans. On the other hand, you've got a lot of backing from people that once you decide what you want to do, they'll be there to help you, Taurus. And that's because Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter in Capricorn are trining your sun for almost the whole year. And so, you know, I would go for the longer term benefit and skip anything that sounds like a get-rich-quick scheme, Taurus. I wouldn't get involved in that right now, because you really shouldn't take a gamble at all this year, and particularly not now. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, lucky you. You can really have your mind on future plans, because the Sun, New Moon, and Mercury, your own ruler, Gemini, are all in Aquarius tomorrow, trining your sun sign. And so if you're not thinking of future plans, somebody else is, and they will just present them to you right now, Gemini. So there's going to be people coming around with good ideas that might be a little ahead of their time, or there can be people with inventive ideas that haven't panned out yet, but they could be very promising, and I think you ought to listen to them. So if you're thinking about the future, I would try to be around a lot more people that are thinking the same way, because it could greatly benefit you, Gemini. This new moon is very good for you. Now, it isn't all good news. The new moon is, but there are some other planets that can be causing you a little grief right now, and that is because Mars is in Sagittarius opposing your sun sign, which means there can be some very aggressive, vindictive, even jealous people around, or even organizations either here or in another country, and they wouldn't mind really giving you a lot of grief right now, Gemini, so stay away from them. And then Venus and Neptune in Pisces are squaring your sun, which means there can be some things going on behind the scenes by people that you might even trust, and they're sort of doing their own thing right now. And so you really need to keep your guard up and not trust too many people right now. In fact, the people that are coming at you with new ideas for the future, they could be just about the only genuine people around you right now, even if they're total strangers. If they've got a good future sounding idea, you ought to listen. It would do you a world of good. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when I think that the idea of you making future plans may not be the first thing on the agenda for you, because there are some pretty good things going on behind the scenes for you, Cancer. And that's because Venus is conjuncting Neptune in Pisces right now, and it is trining your sun sign. And so you can be very popular behind the scenes. There could even be a new love interest in your life somewhere. Or it can be that some dream that you've had for a long time, Cancer, if you could start making some future plans about that, you could probably have that dream come true. And that is particularly true if you go slowly and methodically towards something and don't skip any steps. And that's because Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn are opposing your sun sign, and they will be for most of the year. And those planets can demand that you do things in a very step-by-step process. And so, you know, not letting your emotions get involved at all, but just sort of sticking to business, that's what you need to do. But behind the scenes, I think that you can be very happy with being able to heal a rift, or perhaps winding up some unfinished business right now, or just meeting somebody that has always liked you very much, and maybe they're going to let you know it now. That could be nice. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time when, just like Aries, there can be somebody goading you to make some future plans with them. And I advise you to listen carefully if you want to, Leo, but think twice. And the reason why is there are actually 4 planets in fixed signs, and yours is a fixed sign. So the Sun, New Moon, and Mercury tomorrow in Aquarius are all going to oppose your sun sign, and Uranus in Taurus is already squaring your sun sign. Those are the 4 planets in fixed signs in harsh aspect. And so that simply means that somewhere in your life right now, Leo, somebody may want to rebel, or they want their freedom, or they want to do things their way, their own way, not your way. And it's all going to boil down to a question of money. And that's because Uranus in Taurus is squaring your sun, but it's also squaring the new moon. And so there is, you could be involved in some sort of financial considerations right now that I would urge you to sort of put on the shelf right now, Leo. I don't see how you can win an argument, and if you get in one, you might actually lose it. And so this is not the time for you to settle a financial transaction, simply because somebody else wants it all their own way, and they want you to pay for it. That may not be too fair to you, Leo, but on the other hand, you can't really afford to take a gamble either. So try to put something on the shelf right now, and try not to comment at all if you can. This isn't the time to settle a financial matter, because it would only end in acrimony and financial loss for you, so don't do it. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time when, yes, you can be all for people making future plans, but generally, Virgo, yours is a sign that really likes to look at the facts and details and figure all of that out before you decide to make a future plan, such as knowing whether you can afford something or not. Well, I think that you can, Virgo, so I don't think you have to ask yourself a question about a financial cost, but you may have to ask yourself a question about a sacrificial cost, something that involves you having to give up an activity or a relationship in order to have the time to work on a future plan. That I don't think you have quite figured out yet, Virgo, and it may be a little bit difficult to see that, how to do that right now, because Venus and Neptune and Pisces are opposing your sun sign, which means somebody else who sort of has had a hidden agenda for a long time is concentrating on that and not on you. And so I don't think you can get clear answers right now. And that's why you should stick to business, because, oh boy, those 3 planets in Capricorn are trining your sun, and so is Uranus in Taurus. If you stick to anything that is a financial matter, you're going to do just fine. So stick to business, Virgo. You won't regret it. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time when you are actually going to be maybe surprised and shocked that making future plans with somebody else is going to do you a world of good. It could involve going in different directions. It might involve making a dream come true. It might involve healing a rift. It might involve finishing up some unfinished project that you hadn't been able to complete in the past, but that now it's sort of time to move forward on something like that. And you really could do it, because the Sun, New Moon, and Mercury in Aquarius are all trining your Sun, Libra. You really have a green light right now, but remember, there's still the idea that you got to figure out the budget before you go forward. But I suggest that you do consider new opportunities that are in your future, because you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time when, just like Leo, you should put something on the shelf, and that is because yours is a fixed sign. So tomorrow's Sun, New Moon, and Mercury in Aquarius square your sun sign, and Uranus in Taurus is opposing your sun sign. I don't think that you can get a financial matter settled comfortably right now, and so there would be either a higher cost to something, or else there would be an argument, or there is the possibility that if you took a gamble, you would lose pretty big right now, Scorpio. So keep your future plans to yourself at least. You might still be thinking about it, but keep them to yourself. particularly if it involves a dream, because Venus and Neptune and Pisces are trining your sun. There is the possibility that a dream can come true, or a rift can be healed right now, or you can go advance toward an unfinished project. So work on that, but if I were you, I would do it real quietly. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time when you sure can have something on your mind and you could want to get it done. And that is because you could be filled with energy and ambition and purpose right now, since Mars is in your sign. There are no other planets in any of the other fire signs, though. There's nothing supporting that Mars. But that new moon in Aquarius tomorrow sextiles your sun, and Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn also sextile your sun because they're right in front of it. There are 6 planets in front of your sun sign, Aquarius, that are very good and positive. So I think that if you feel like it's time to sort of jump into something very constructive, then you should do it. It doesn't matter if you finish it quickly. In fact, people who speed forward this year are going to regret it, because nobody can afford to skip steps, and because there would be costly mistakes from that. So if I were you, Sagittarius, I think if you want to jump into something, it could make sure that it's something really solid, like a business or some sort of endeavor that serves the community, or something where there can be a really good way to uphold traditions and honorable values, because this is a good time for you to use your energy for the good. You wouldn't regret it at all. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time with that new moon in Aquarius right ahead of your sun sign, when, yes, Capricorn, now's the time to be making future plans, because the sun, the new moon, and Mercury are right ahead of your sun sign, and your sun sign has Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in it, and they're all being trined by Uranus in Taurus. And every planet is direct right now, Capricorn, so don't wait. It doesn't mean you have to have your plans complete, but why don't you just take one step in the right direction right now, Capricorn, because I'm quite sure it could be very successful, as long as it was pointing to a better future. And as long as you're not so worried about the past. There are some things in your life that maybe you've outgrown, and now's the time to admit it, and just go forward now on something more creative for yourself. I'm sure you'll be successful. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, the new moon is in your sign tomorrow. Congratulations. That's because the sun, the new moon, and Mercury are there, so you're the one that could be having very thoughtful ideas about your future, Aquarius. And you know, I think they're going to be fruitful. You could go in so many different directions right now that if one doesn't work to your satisfaction, you're going to be able to try a lot of others as well. The one thing you can't get around, though, is the fact that Uranus in Taurus is squaring your sun sign, where all these good planets are tomorrow. And that simply means that you really need to ask yourself, you know, how much is everything going to cost? And consider not only the financial cost of something, but a sacrificial cost, meaning how are you going to allocate your time? What effect will it have on your relationships or your activities? Try to figure all that out. And remember, yours is a fixed sign, and fixed signs actually don't move that fast. In other words, if you just have a small idea of a future plan, that's okay. Go for it, because it might sort of expand little by little. That's just fine, and it may guarantee success for you. I know you're going to take on more responsibility this spring, which will lead to greater responsibility next year and the year after as well. So put your thinking cap on, Aquarius. This is the right time to make plans. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when I think that, you know, you could have love on your mind, or maybe you want to heal a rift, or maybe you want to finish up some project that hadn't been completed for a while, or maybe you want to make a dream come true, Pisces. I think you ought to do it. It will take a little fresh thinking from you, though. In other words, you have to make a fresh approach to something. Even if you want to make an old dream come true, you're going to have to come at it in a little different way, Pisces. But I think you can be very successful at that. And so, even if you have to change your activities or change some of your relationships in order to make a dream come true, this is the time when you should make a sacrifice like that, because it would make such a great difference to your future. And that new moon is right behind your sun sign. So in the background of your life, there's an awful lot of light right now, Pisces. People can see what you're doing and how you're doing it. And so this is a time for you to really look forward and not back. And if there's a dream that you want to make come true, hey, what's stopping you? Okay. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show on our website, starborninstitute.org, or on our Karen Campbell YouTube channel. Thanks a lot. Bye.